Please tell me why your microphone is on your cat stand, because I'm confused.
Well, this is more of a story of like why I don't do Facebook Marketplace, honestly. So about 4 weeks ago, perusing on Facebook Marketplace, I have been wanting a velvet green couch for in my office. And I knew that we were going to start recording podcasts again. I was like, I need like a really cool like background and seat, you know, the whole vibe. Found the perfect one. She was wanting like $100 for it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It was a photography studio. So it's like,
nice.
oh, great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be
Totally
like,
used, yeah.
Right. So told her like, great, we want it. We're on our way to pick it up. She's like, great. Literally on our way. We get my husband's truck and it's across town. Literally halfway there. And she messages me, oh, sorry, it's gone.
What?
And I was
How do
like,
people do this?
I was like, wait, but I'm on my way. I'm almost there. Like, what do you mean? I said I wanted it. She's like, sorry, I had to get rid of it today. And I was like,
You
so
literally
then,
were.
Then I feel ridiculous because I'm sobbing in my husband's truck over a couch.
Over a velvet couch.
Over a velvet couch. And I was like, honestly, Kristen, come on. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, so.
Well, I know something that will cheer you up.
What?
Starting this episode.
Yes, this is true. I am so excited.
Welcome to The Margins, a place for candid conversations about the writing life, Indian traditional publishing, the book industry, and more, with Christen and E.A. Hendricks. Hi, I'm Emily, author of the Xeris Galaxy Saga, among other things.
And I'm Christen Crum, author of the YA rom-com It Happened at Christmas, among other things.
We're so excited to welcome you to The Margins, a podcast where we have candid conversations about the writing life, indie publishing, the book industry, and more.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
I know, we're back. We're finally back. Oh, man. So we have taken a bit of a hiatus. I actually don't know how long it's been. Do I want to know?
It's been a year because
Oh, it has.
we were releasing episodes last May. I actually thought it was this May, but I'm pretty sure it was May of 2024. We had good intentions,
you're probably
guys.
right.
They're
We
good
did.
intentions.
But then like life kind of happened. It's been very busy, which is why we're starting off with a bit of a reintroduction to who we are and just some updates and all the things publishing. We have a bit of a new format here. We're also going to be on YouTube, so make sure that you go over there and subscribe to our channel. We have got so many fun things planned, but today we're just starting off with getting back into what we are, what The Margins is, kind of like the revamped branding of The Margins, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Kristen, what are you most looking forward to in starting this new season with The Margins?
Oh, is it silly if I say hanging out with you more?
No, this is a problem when you live states away and you
know.
only get to see each other once, maybe twice a year.
Right. No, I am really looking forward to what we have planned. And the changes that we're making, don't worry, they're not too far out there. But really, I mean, I just love having candid conversations about craft and writing and the publishing industry, and this is such a fun way to be able to do it and also kind of give back to other writers.
Well, and I think a lot of the times, too, these conversations are things that we've talked about already. We do a lot of Voxer, so if you guys don't know what that is, definitely check it out for your besties because it's the best way to, we leave podcasts for each other. Especially me. I tend to leave really long ones.
Same.
But it's a great way for us then to kind of have these in a bit more of a visible space. And we're not saying that we're the experts on anything, but I think if we have questions, then a lot of the times the people who either follow us on Instagram or our Substacks or whatever, they might have these same questions. So we're hoping to kind of just inform and have fun and just chat about things. So one of the things I did want to bring up first was Exploring the Blank Page. That was our original podcast focused on young adult fiction and authors of that fiction. And we definitely love that podcast. We're not going to delete it or anything, but at this point, we're taking a little bit of a break from it, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just a lot to coordinate interviews with other authors because that means 3 people's time.
Yes.
And our times are very limited. So it's a lot easier for us to kind of coordinate our schedules for now. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go check it out. We've got how many seasons? 3?
I think 3. There's quite a
few
maybe
episodes.
50 episodes, something like that.
Definitely go check it out. You might hear your new favorite author on there. And then we're also going to go ahead and just leave the episodes of the margins that were part of Exploring the Blank Page where they're at. So this is going to be a whole new thing. Same name, new thing, I guess.
Same name, new place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have questions for us, because we're going to have a listener question segment, make sure that you send those. You can direct message them to me or to Kristen on Instagram. My handle is @CreteExploreRead. Kristen?
I am Christen Crum. It's Kristen with a C and Crum with a K, all smushed together.
Yeah, feel free to send those. Eventually, we'll probably have an email for you to send.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, don't we have an email address? What's our email address?
That's a great question. I can't remember it.
Isn't it like
about the margins?
Isn't it
Oh,
Hendrix
maybe it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll figure that out for the next episode,
yeah.
because we do have several questions that were sent to me already. So we're going to be going through some of those in this episode and future episodes.
I don't want to pigeonhole everybody to Instagram if somebody doesn't have an Instagram account.
Very true. Very true.
We want you to still be able to reach us and to ask. Send us a carrier pigeon. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, if it can find us.
Well, you know, if a carrier pigeon can find me, I'm just going to add it to my flock of birds because I have.
That's true. Oh, okay. I think that's a great segue because we have to kind of update people about all of the animals that now live at your house.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So give us a life update, Kristen. We'll start with life and then we'll transition to some writing stuff.
So, life update. I have a homestead, I guess is what you would call it. Most of you know we moved to Oklahoma. We renovated the house that my husband grew up in. It is on some land. And I've always said, you know, I want a garden. I want some chickens. I want some goats. You know, the whole gambit. So last summer we had the garden. I did the garden thing. Probably not that great. Honestly, I'm still probably not that great at it. But
it's always a learning curve.
It is. Well, this year, so last year I had a garden that was probably the size of like a good house. Like if you put a slab on the ground, I mean, it would have been a good house. It ended up being a lot, just keeping up with weeds and stuff. And then I was traveling and writing and working full time. It was a lot. This year, I probably have the equivalent of what I had last year, but like the main garden is smaller and then I have like 3 or 4 random smaller gardens all around the property.
I love it.
It was just somebody asked how I stayed sane in my life, and I was like, oh well, you know, if it gets to be too much, I just go out and start digging in the dirt and make another garden.
Yes. And tell us about the who I like to call the baby.
Yes, the baby kitty. Well,
Yes.
It's not baby kitty. You have baby kitty.
I know, baby kitty. We have the baby.
I have the baby. Yes. So we did get a Maine Coon cat. We added the Maine Coon November of last year. So he was born in August. So he's almost, well, when this airs, he will finally be a year old. And he's about 18 pounds.
Oh my gosh, so big.
Really big. I don't really think of him, like I look at him, I'm like, you're not that big. And then I go visit somebody else who has a cat.
Like a normal size cat.
Oh my gosh, your cat is so small.
It's probably a good 10 pounds heavier than Paige's then.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah. I mean, he's so long and lanky. It's just, it's fun. But yeah, so we added a cat. He is doing his job of getting rid of the, unwanted field mice that happen to get, you live on a farm, it's going to happen, you live in the country. So he's a great mouser. And then in May, we added chickens. I got an incubator, and I have great neighbors who are like, here's some eggs if you want to try to hatch them. And so I just started hatching eggs. And talking about chicken math, we put 8 in the incubator, and on day 21, there was nothing happening. And my sweet husband knew how much I wanted chickens, so he went to the Tractor Supply and he bought me 8. The next day, all of the eggs started hatching. So then we had 16. We lost 1, so we had 15. And then I started another batch of 9, and I meant to give them to my neighbors as like a, hey, thanks for giving us the eggs. You know, I hatched you some more chickens, and then they were like, yeah, we don't really need any more. Like, we have 20. We got a good flock going. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So my 15 turned into 24, and then some things happened, and I got 2 chicks from the neighbors, and one died. So, like, yeah, so I had like 25, 26 chickens, all in the house. Mind
this
you,
is my favorite part
because they were baby chickens, and so they were in the house. And
well, you still needed to get a coop, like
right. Well, we had the
reasons,
building for the coop. We just had to build it out. We had to put doors on. But the thing about Oklahoma summer this year is that it wouldn't stop raining.
Oh yeah.
On the days that my husband had off of work, so that he could actually work on it. And then it was just kind of like, oh, it's here, and let's get some doors up. So. Finally did get some doors up a few weeks ago, and so the chickens are now the big chickens. The first batch of chickens, they are out. The second batch of chickens are still babies, and so they're still in the house. But 9 chickens in the house 9 chicks in the house as opposed. I would lay in bed at night, Emily, and just be like, this is it. This is your midlife crisis. You are insane. You have 24 birds in your house.
In the house. Oh, man. Well, you know what? We all have to have our hobbies.
Apparently, chickens and gardening and a boon cat, a Maine Coon, he's deathly afraid of the chickens. So, I mean...
Which, I mean, that's probably a better thing than him being obsessed with them. So.
Yes. I was actually a little okay with him being terrified of the chickens.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So. Well, I do understand the gardening thing. I myself have a garden. I guess it was last year. My husband made me some like raised beds. So we've got 3 good-sized raised beds and like tomatoes out my eyeballs, like so many tomatoes.
I need that problem.
And so many cherry tomatoes. Like oh my gosh, I just froze like a whole batch of them because we're going on vacation.
Mine aren't getting red. I will trade you serranos.
Yeah. My peppers are not doing as well. My healthy is not bad, but my peppers not as good.
See, we can just switch. I have things you need. You have. Why are we?
To you.
Why are we so many states away? This does not work.
I know, man. We need that teleportation to happen.
Yes, come on, people in technology, get with it.
Figure it out. But yeah. For us, it's been kind of pretty chill. I mean, I'm trying to think. Oh, the only thing that's really sad that happened is that we had to put my sweet bounce down, which was really so sad. He was a good 9 years old, and he was a good boy, but he had cancer. So we had to send him across the Rainbow Bridge, which was probably the hardest thing I've had to do as an adult, like to make that decision. Anybody who has pets, they understand. It's just like they become part of the family. So. Yeah. But good things are on the horizon, which I'll share about later. So I know, you know, but I'm just not at the point where I can like share all the things yet. So, but anyways, now that we've had our little update here, we are going to have a couple of different segments, which I think will help us maybe stay on track. Cause I don't know, we get a little chatty sometimes. But I'm excited because we're going to focus on like 3 separate things. The first one for these conversations is just going to be a candid conversation topic. Obviously, like I said today, that's going to be our updates about our writing and where we're at with all of that. And then we're going to have a publishing tip of the week. And that sounds like oh wow, we really have it together. But really, I just see them as more of like brief segments on things that like maybe just pop up that we like either see in passing on social media, maybe we're dealing with ourselves, something that we think that like other writers would benefit from, hopefully. And then we're going to have a listener question, like I mentioned earlier. And then on usually our like monthly, I don't know, like once a month, we'll do a bit of like a goal setting, goal updates, just to let everybody know like where we're at on things. But also it helps us keep accountable to each other and to you, our listeners, because it's a lot easier to say, oh, I need to work on this thing than to actually like work on it and then have progress, which is a good thing. So back to our candid conversation topic, writing updates. You want to go first, Christen? What are your updates?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
You're like, what is my update?
What is my update? Okay, so update from last summer. I guess that was when the last time we were on and we chatted. I have written an entire adult rom-com that is coming out. Well, I guess it will be this month when this when this releases. It comes out September 9th. So that has basically been what has kind of just been in my headspace for the last year, until I think March. I think March is when we finally like wrapped up the last of all of the edits and the past pages and all of that. And as much as I want to be a writer that's like, I'm working on multiple projects and I can totally do it, I am finding that I'm not. Like, just with homeschooling and with working full time and adding in the writing, I mean, writing can be a full-time job, and as much as I want it to be a full-time job, I'm not at that place yet. So I have to work on one project at a time. Once I turned that one in, it was almost like I had questioned everything. I questioned if I was even like supposed to be writing. It was really hard. It was really a difficult project. It shouldn't have been. I probably made it more difficult in my head. So I was coming off a burnout. I was working on that project, getting that one turned in, questioning absolutely everything. And one random, I don't even remember which month it was, I decided that I was going to start this random project. And I pulled out my husband's great grandfather, I believe. There's a couple greats in there. Typewriter. So when we got the house, the typewriter had been left behind, and I was like, oh, cool, an old typewriter. You know, that's right up my alley. I pulled it out, I opened it up, I put a sheet of paper in, and I just brain dumped. Like, I just started the story. And what eventually it turned into was Atlas of Neely Spencer, which is the one that I am serially releasing on Substack. But that project is just, it's like, first of all, it is absolutely terrifying, as you know, to release a project as you're writing it, especially one that you have not plotted out. And while I don't necessarily consider myself a plotter, I have no roadmap other than, okay, what happens next? And so literally I'm taking readers along the journey of figuring out what happens next. But I think it's helping my brain to heal as far as like realizing that it's okay. Like, it's okay. You know, readers are just excited to go along, and they're not saying that you can just throw a project out and like people will pick up, but it's the type of project it is. Like, they understand that you're working through it as they're getting to read it, and they get really excited to go along on that journey with you. And so I will say also something about writing on a typewriter. And I was talking to, we were at a conference earlier this summer, and I was talking to somebody. I said, the typewriter is so interesting because it's your keyboard, but it's heavier. And so you're so focused on making sure you hit the right buttons. And you can't type like this because, the buttons are so much heavier. So you're so focused on making sure that you hit the correct button, and you're not running out of line space because you have to manually hit to the next line. And my typewriter is so old, I don't have a backspace. So if I put in a wrong word or put in a wrong letter, that's it. Like, that's what's on the page. And so it is amazing on how it gets you out of your head. You are no longer wondering, is this a good story? Are people going to like it? Are people even going to read it? Like, all of a sudden it's about you and the story, and that's it. That's all that is there, because you don't want to hit a an X when you meant to hit an A, and okay, now everything, my whole page is messed up. So it has just been really freeing, just being able to type it. And even still, like if I get too much in my head because I have now moved it over to the computer, but if I get too much in my head, I'll just go back to the typewriter and I'll put a piece of paper in and I'll just start going, and I'll see that as like my first draft of my first draft.
Yeah.
So like, you stick it in there, you just start going, and it just kind of like clears all of the doubts and the naysayers out of your brain, and you just work on story.
I like that. Let's see. Gosh, where did we end? I'm trying to think of like what my last update would have been, because I've done some stuff.
I think the last update would have been Kickstarter, because you just finished
for book 2.
For book
I think
3.
Wait. No, I think it'd be book 2.
Yes, book 2. But I think you were about to start working on book 3, maybe?
Yeah.
I know that's the big update.
Oh, gosh. Literally the biggest update. Not really. The biggest book in the update. So, yeah, interesting things. So, I can't remember. I want to say I probably began the first draft of book 3, which is Rising from the Galaxy and my Xeris Galaxy Saga series. That was probably like October, November of last year. So 2024. And then, gosh, I because I definitely took breaks in between, I added it up. This is the insane part. In like the span of just 4 months, now not consecutively, that's not a word. But 4 months total, I wrote 218,000 words on this third book.
Girl.
And the clouds parted, and sun shone upon me. Not really. I was just happy to get that thing done.
Oh my gosh.
And so then I immediately, because I had already run the Kickstarter in March. We funded, everything was great. And then I realized this book is way longer than I expected. So I did my best to cut back. I got us down to 192,000 words, which honestly, like, that's long. I get that it's long, but it's not as long as it could be, maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Brandon Sanderson long. I mean, he spits
there you go.
all the time.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it is a book 3, so you kind of expect that. There's 7 points of view. There's just a lot going on, right? And I had to make the ending epic and all these things. So I did find that, and I wrote a post about this on my like writer Substack, but just like what I realized through the editing process was really valuable, especially noticing, like, I mean, I cut out however many words that is. I'm not going to do the math because y'all know I don't do math, but I cut out over 20K just on things that like didn't need to be there. And I'm not talking about scenes. I did cut a few scenes. I tried to cut more, but I couldn't. Anyways, I was able to pare it down to a place where I was happy with. And so that was off to my editor. I've heard from her recently. She's almost halfway through. She's enjoying it, which is good. And so we're having some good conversations about that. But yeah, so I've been working on that like a crazy person. And then I basically, so once I finished writing it, I immediately turned around and jumped into editing, which I don't always recommend. Honestly, it's what I've done for the last several books, mostly because of my own timelines, which is like, don't do like I do.
Emily has insane timelines, but the thing that I love about Emily and her timelines is that she always hits them. And if she doesn't hit them, I mean, she's like really close. Like, I make my timelines and I miss them by like 9 miles.
It's just, we're just different writers, and that's okay. Yeah. And so I don't recommend that, but I think I did all those edits for like that 218K book in like 20 days. And so talk about burnout. I like hit the end and I was like, I don't want to write anymore. Or like, I can't because my brain is dead. So I let that I've let myself rest in that. We'll get more into this in a future episode, I'm sure. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. But the funny thing is that, like, in the meantime, I was like, well, you know what would be great to do? Well, we had been talking about serialized fiction. And I think I think we had decided to do it at the same time, but you just like jumped the gun in a good way a few weeks before me. And I gave myself a little bit of space because I knew that I was going to be editing book 3. So I launched my serial, Dragons in Space, which I love to say, in July. So actually on my birthday, July 2nd, which was really fun. So I'm releasing episodes weekly like a crazy person. And I too have hit that point where like the first 4 episodes were like completely written because they were released to my Patreons initially. And then I like kind of have closed my Patreon page for now just because it's too much to take care of, and moved it over to Substack. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, now I don't have a plot for the rest of this. So we'll see what happens, which is fun. But that's kind of like where we are at the moment. There's obviously things planned for the future as well. But
yeah. Well, and I mean, we're both working on projects.
Yeah.
Other than the serials that we're releasing on Substack,
or at least thinking about working on projects.
True. Yeah, I mean, I have my list of like, this is what I want to accomplish. It's a great list. I just haven't I haven't really dove into it yet. I feel like once summer ends and we get into the school routine, I feel like it'll be like a little bit easier to just kind of like start diving into those lists.
And fall tends to bring that out, I think, in
Yes.
both of us. Here's time for our episodely, I don't know what the word is, hello to Pages, because she's going to be joining us.
Kitty.
I think she's looking at me and she's meowing, which you might be able to hear in the background. But anyways, I think that's kind of where we're at right now for like writing updates. That brings you all up to date to where we're at. We do have things in the future, which we'll get to a little bit later in a moment. There's Pages, at least
Pages.
a tail. There she is. But yeah, let's talk real quick about, I don't know that we actually planned one for this episode, but our publishing tip of the week.
Oh, yes.
I don't know that we picked one.
I don't know. And I don't have like your layout, so I don't know what's going next.
I guess let's think about something that like we have recently like encountered, I guess. I feel like I had an idea for this and then I didn't write it down.
This is for the indie authors. And I read this in a book, and it because I've been reading a lot of craft books lately. And it really just seems like I read it and I was like, oh, that makes complete sense. Do I follow it? No. But
Yeah.
they said, don't start releasing books until you have at least 3 written. And I see the wisdom of this because I wrote and released, it happened at Christmas back in 2019. I have had books planned since then. But life happens. I got a 3-book contract and then another contract. And so stuff just happened and it got in the way. And so now I just have this one like book that is just hanging out in La La Land all by its lonesome. And I just see the wisdom behind, if I had written 3 first, then, I mean, even if, all 3 are done, only the first one is edited, the other 2 are ready to go. Like, even if it was something to that effect, it would have helped my publication timeline and process kind of speed up a little bit. So that's my tip if you're going to indie publish. I think that's
great. Like, honestly, because I could say the same thing, or at least something similar to that. I would also add to the caveat of like, don't just write Christmas books because that's maybe not a great idea. Yeah. So for those who maybe are new to the channel or like new to our writing, I write under E.A. Hendricks. That's the pen name for my young adult science fantasy series and things like that. Anything like fantasy or science fiction related. But I also write Christian romantic suspense and sweet romance under 2 different pen names because of course I do. So for my sweet romance pen name, Belle Renshaw, I have, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, 10 books out, something like that. But I also didn't do the thing that I should have done. So I have a series that's 5. It is complete. It's a completed series, but they're all Christmas books. So that is hard to market when it's not Christmas. Even Christmas in July just doesn't hit the same, which because it happened at Christmas. But then on the flip side, I have a non-Christmas series that I So this is another, I'll just add this to the, don't maybe start your series with a novella. That was, I think that used to be really popular in indie circles, is like, oh, do a free novella for the introduction or whatever. I think now novellas tend to come after the series, actually. That's not a rule, but I just think that that's what I'm seeing. But anyways, my first book in this series was a novella, so that's confusing. And you tend to, you're getting all this for free. You tend to then promote and pay to promote your first book in your series more so than you'll promote any other book in your series, unless it's a series of standalones. And for this series, that doesn't make sense. I will always lose money on that first book because it's a novella, and I can't charge enough to make that, like, the Amazon ads, like, worth it. And I'll finish up because I think you have something to add to this. But, like, also, I wrote the first book, and then I wrote the second book, and we're still waiting on the third book and the fourth book and probably the fifth book in that series because I just lost steam in it. And it wasn't people's favorite, but I loved it. So don't do as I do. And when I do release the third book, I will more than likely recover these books, update the content, and, like, republish them. I don't know if I'll republish them completely, but yeah. So
cool. I was just going to give you an idea, and this is for those of you who haven't been around me a lot. This is me. I like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and we just see what sticks. Maybe it will work, maybe it doesn't, but you're going to hear it. So my thought was, why does that book have to be number one? Aren't they all they're all standalones? So just not unpublish it, but unpublish it and use that as your newsletter lead magnet, and then make book 2, book 1, and then you can do your...
I've thought about doing that. I've also thought about, like, completely unpublishing the series, changing the titles because they're too long, and, like, adding content to the first book because it could probably use a refresh. Which just sounds exhausting to me, but also might be better for the series because book 2, I released it and it didn't, like, I think that it just needed another edit. I don't know. It just didn't hit some readers well. And I like to push boundaries on things in the sense of, like, you might not love one of my characters for the whole book, right? Like, you might need to, like, learn to love them, or they might be passionate about something that you're not passionate about, but that doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them different. So I think that, like, some of that hit weird. So I edited it. It's so hard to say that. And put it back out, but I think the damage had been done. Yeah. So that might be something that I do. I'm kind of worried about the whole Amazon thing of, like, this was something else. And so I'm thinking if I republished it, I could say, like, used to be published under this name. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that.
You're going to have to set up your direct sales shop.
True. Well, I mean, I have one.
Well, you're just going to have to, like, that's going to have to be the main place where they can get them.
That makes sense.
And this is the joy of being an indie publisher. Like,
right?
You can be like, oh, hey, this book didn't hit. I'm going to, like, unpublish it, flesh it out, make it better, then republish it. Like, you can do that.
Very true. Very true.
You're your own publisher. So,
all right. So we will jump to our listener question for this week. I'm going to do this one. So this is from someone who messaged me on Instagram, and they asked, should we be using real names versus aliases? Is it okay to use our real names? So to me, that's really a question of pen name, right? Clearly, I write under multiple pen names. So, and I have shared this other places, but I will share it very briefly here. And it's kind of a weird thing. So when I published under Belle Renshaw initially, I didn't reveal who I was to anyone. I was using it as, like, a test to kind of jump into indie publishing to see what it was like, without the pressure of, like, oh, this is me and all these different things. And I had been a ghostwriter, so that kind of, like, came pretty easily to me. Then when I got my first traditional contract, my agent suggested, okay, let's go ahead and, like, tell people that it's you, but then let's use your real name to publish this book. So that's when I published under Emilie Haney for my romantic suspense. And at that point, I've kind of lumped those together because they are, like, Belle Renshaw and Emilie Haney both write, like, sweet romance, basically clean adult sweet romance. But when I then went on to publish a young adult science fantasy, I knew I wanted to publish under a different name. I am in totally different categories very separate. They don't really coincide. I wanted to do general market with Emily E.A. Hendricks, whatever my name is. Who knows? Anyways, so that's not quite their question, but like that's kind of the reasoning behind why I have multiple pen names.
Well, and two, this goes back to the books I'm reading. The book that I'm reading, the authors, they write in multiple genres, and they do it all under their own names. And they will tell you they did it wrong. They will tell you that you can soar higher faster when you have one name and one genre. So E.A. Hendricks, you always know it is going to be young
some
adult.
Kind of speculative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some kind of
speculative. I may do adult on it as well.
Yeah,
but it'll always have like speculative.
It's always combined within that. And so if E.A. Hendricks all of a sudden threw in a sweet romance, your readers are going to, they're going to have their head spins. And vice versa. Like if Emily Haney started writing speculative sci-fi,
yeah.
her readers might not like that. I am kind of just like, hey guys, I write under a lot of different genres and just come along, have fun. Like that's kind of my whole, and I am probably doing it wrong. Emily has told me for years, hey, you should, get some pen names just to like split up your genres. I'm kind of just like, I don't want to. I'm just going to write it all under me. So,
and I do think in like today's TikTok world, especially, I've noticed over on TikTok, everybody's like, no, one pen or like one name.
Yeah.
I want to read it all.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
But on the flip side, on my newsletter lists, I have two separate ones. And there are people who do not care about my sci-fi stuff. And there's people who do,
I feel, okay, so pros and cons. Like, pros of having a pen name, you can really lean into whatever genre you have. There is that level of
anonymity.
Yes, thank you. So your best friend might not know that, oh, you're my favorite author because you're writing under a pen name and they don't know.
Yeah.
And it also kind of gives you that buffer because if you write this science fantasy Christmas novel and it completely tanks, okay,
right.
We're swiping the board, we're coming over here, we're starting new. That I feel like has more weight when you also want to be trad published, because traditional publishers will want to look at your numbers of your sales. And so if you have something that is just dismal, it's almost, I have been told, it's almost better to just completely start from scratch than it is to try to build your way out of those numbers. So
it's not a hard and fast rule, but
yes,
it is often the case.
It's often the case. And then the cons behind it, I would just say, if you're writing, this is, not everybody is like Emily and I that have a whole lot of multiple genres, but if you're writing in 2, 3, 4 different genres, you have social medias for those. You have multiple newsletters for those. You have to remember which personality you are that day. So,
or like me, one of them goes by the wayside while the other gets all the attention.
Yes, yeah. So, those are some things that you might want to keep in mind. And this could just be like I just want one pen name. I think that's fine. Yeah. It also gives you kind of a, I want to say, I have heard that it also gives you, like, legally, it protects you a little bit.
Well, and I was going to say specifically to this question, and again, it was in a question and answer box, so it's small and there's like not a lot of like nuance to it. But I think if you're concerned about any kind of like, I guess like, people finding out who you really are, and not that you're like ashamed of what you're writing, but you want some of that separation, or even if you don't mind if your face is associated with this pen name, but you just don't want like that person, like anybody to find the rest of, your like family's Facebook page or whatever, then it could be a great legal choice to choose a new name. And it does sound like the question was coming from two authors who are writing as a duo. And so that might be a great opportunity. This is something to consider too. are you going to move on individually
Yes.
to write other books? And are you going to write them under those pen names or your own name or whatever? Because I have talked with multiple different authors. I have not yet done co-writing, but there's some things in the works, and it's the question of like, well, what's better for my brand and their brand? Is it to have like a totally new pen name where like what Christina Lauren is two people,
Right.
but like I wouldn't know, like, well, Christina has her own books and Lauren has her, I mean, I don't even think that's her name. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's like
but
their
like
middle names or last names or something like that.
Right. So we know them as a duo.
Right.
We don't know them as anybody else. And I think for me, having already had books out, whoever I would partner with, I would assume then that we would want to use our pen names so that if people really enjoy our co-written stories and that's like their first impression of like my writing, well, they're going to hopefully go and be like, oh, well, I want to read more of Emily's books. I want to read more of this other person's books, like that type of thing. So to me, like, it really comes down to like strategy. Yeah. So strategy, and then what you feel like is safe for you as a person. Like, are you okay with your name being out there? And then like, what's your plans for the future? Would you plan to continue on in this genre? Do you want to break out? And like you're saying, like, what do you feel confident in doing, basically? All right. Well, I think we better wrap it up. We will move our goals to the next episode so that we can kind of explore those later. But thanks everybody for listening. We're super excited to have you here.
Yes, and we can't wait to see you guys next week when we drop another episode.